This is the Bates Bobcast, our weekly podcast where we take a look at the week that was in Bates athletics. My name is Aaron Morse, and this week we look ahead to the Bates football season. The Bobcats open their 2019 campaign Saturday at Amherst. Plus, the volleyball, field hockey, and men's soccer teams got their season started on the right foot. And the golf program turned in a strong showing at the Bowdoin Invitational. All that and more coming up on the Bates Bobcast. The field hockey team won a thriller on Saturday, defeating Hamilton 3-2 in overtime. Sophomore Bridget Thompson and senior captain Abby Ford scored in regulation before first-year Paige Cote tallied the game winner in OT. The Bobcat defense stood strong in the extra period, with first-year goalkeeper Grace Biddle making a key save on a Hamilton breakaway. Then on the follow-up shot, senior captain Alexa Jurgeleit made a defensive save, and Bates got the ball out of harm's way. Cote, an Auburn native who attended St. Dominic Academy, joined the Bobcast along with Jurgeleit to look back on the Hamilton win. Paige, you had the game-winning goal in overtime. As a first year, how thrilling was that experience for you?
It was really exciting, but I think at the time I was mostly just relieved, really, because I think it was a lot of pressure, but I was really happy that we could get it done.
Had you ever had a game-winning goal in overtime before, in high school or anything?
Yeah, I think it was a lot different than high school, however, because the level is much higher, and I also think there was more pressure and there was more riding on it, and it was more of a team effort, I feel like, in college, whereas high school, there's more focus on the individual players.
So it came off a penalty corner. Take us through what you saw when you shot it.
So all I wanted to do was make sure that the ball was on net, and so I looked up and just aimed for the corner, and it just worked out. And then
Alexa, from your point of view there on defense, what was it like watching that?
It was definitely exciting, and I almost thought the ball didn't come out of the circle, which means it wouldn't have been a goal, but I was like, oh my God. But it did, and so I turned around and immediately ran to our goalie, Grace Biddle, and we celebrated ourselves back there. Yeah, it was definitely really exciting, and I'm happy for Paige.
Well, speaking of you and Grace, earlier in the overtime period, there was kind of a tense moment, if you will, right? Hamilton had a breakaway opportunity. She made a great save, then you made a save. Take us through that key moment in overtime.
Yeah, so I got beat at about the 50-yard line. It's always like a weird thing being the last defender besides the goalie back there, because if you're beat, that's kind of it. So I was recovering back, and Grace made an awesome first save. I just kept recovering. I recovered into the goal, basically, and they had a second shot, and I blocked the rebound and dove a little bit on the ground, and we cleared it out, and then Paige scored a minute later, so it's good.
Hamilton, throughout your career, every game's been close, right? What's it like going up against them, basically first game of the year every season?
Yeah, it's always kind of, I don't want to say mental battle, but maybe it is. It's always kind of ended the same. It hasn't ended the same way, but we've had the same circumstances where we've been in overtime and it's been decided by a goal. So it's really exciting to finally get that win on our side this time.
Certainly, and for you, what's it like been, the last 3 years? I know you played midfield more as a first year, but the last 3 years, now just being your senior year, anchoring that defense.
I've spent a lot of time back there. I played defense in high school. I'm comfortable back there. I don't know, I have great people on my sides. I have Abby to my right, and then Caroline, Grady, and Ashton Bale split time to my left, and they're awesome. And my two goalies behind me, Ellie Bauer and Grace Biddle, they are awesome, and I think we all work really well together.
Paige, I'm curious, so you're first year, but you're from Auburn. You went to St. Dom's for high school. What made you want to stay local for college?
I originally didn't want to stay local, but since the first time I toured Bates, I just loved it and the sense of community and everything here. So that's pretty much when I decided sophomore year that I wanted to come here.
And then growing up, were you familiar with Bates, it being in the community? What did you hear about it as a kid and stuff?
Yeah, we would come to watch a lot of the field hockey games, my family would, and we've had so many practices here, and it was almost every week we were on campus doing something.
So the adjustment period for you, has it been pretty smooth? Obviously, you mentioned earlier that college is much different, though, than high school.
It has been pretty smooth, I'd say, and I think the perk about being local is that it's a lot easier for my family to come to the games.
Senior captains like, Alexa, what have they told you about what it takes to succeed here?
I think all of the seniors and the upperclassmen really lead by example, so it makes it easy as a first year to see what the expectation is and to follow that.
Alexa, I remember when you were a first year, I did a story on first years being adjusted to Bates. Looking back on how has the process gone for you now, the senior, what do you tell people like Paige?
I think they just have to enjoy like every minute of it. Take risks, I guess. Like, I don't know if I even took enough risks while I've been here. I don't know. I feel like I should have branched out of my comfort zone a little more than I did. So I think they definitely should try to do that. Take all the opportunities you get.
How about that long bus ride to and from Hamilton? What was that like for you?
It was very, very long, but I think the fact that we won just made it all worth it.
Yeah, the ride back must have been really nice, right?
Yeah, it was super fun, and everyone was really excited.
So Bowdoin this week, right, middle of the week, conference game against a tough opponent. I'm sure you're familiar with Bowdoin as well. I don't know how many games you went to theirs. Not quite as local, but close by, right?
Yeah, we definitely know they're a good team, but I think after Hamilton, we're all really excited, and we're just ready to bring it on Wednesday.
And you've had experience playing Bowdoin the last 3 years. What's it like against them?
Yeah, that's another game that's always pretty close. They're good competition, and we always seem to play really well against them. So, I'm excited to finally get a win against them. And I know a couple of people on the team, too. I actually went to high school with one of the girls on their team, so that's always fun to play a former teammate. So,
in terms of this season and how this team's shaping up so far, obviously you've only had one game, but you were just in a film session. So what was Coach emphasizing about, things to improve on from one game to the next?
Yeah, we were just watching the Hamilton game back over, just a few quick points. We don't like to dwell too much on what already happened. So we looked at the most important things that we need to move forward onto Bowdoin. And we looked at how we scored our goals, which were all off of corners, and we just played through our corners and made them all work. So that's something we'll also definitely have to do against Bowdoin, is execute those corners.
And you're one of the people responsible for that, right? I mean, the penalty corners. What's the key in your mind of making it a good one for the Bobcats each time?
I think that what's always been the most difficult for me is getting a good initial reception, so that you can make sure your first touch is a good one. But it was just a perfect insert in overtime, so we were able to get it done really easily.
Certainly. Well, any other thoughts on the Hamilton game and what you're most looking forward to going forward, you as a first year and you as a senior?
I think just getting to be a part of the team is just really great. They're super helpful with school, and it's also just a really fun time, and it's something you get to look forward to every day.
Yeah, I think the same thing. No matter what's going on on the field, we are all such great friends that we can come off the field and hang out together whether we win or lose, but obviously we're hoping we get some wins. I'm definitely looking forward to winning with my teammates, spending a lot of time together.
All right, Alexa Jurgeleit and Paige Cote, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The women's and men's soccer teams picked up non-conference road wins Tuesday, with the women defeating Maine Maritime 1-0 on a goal from first-year Adelaide Arma, and the men prevailing 2-0 over UMaine Farmington. Although the women fell at Hamilton Saturday, the men rallied from one goal down to defeat the Continentals 3-1. Sophomore Luke Protti scored the first 2 goals of his collegiate career in the win, earning NESCAC Player of the Week honors. And he is our male Bobcat of the Week. Male Bobcat of the Week and NESCAC Men's Soccer Player of the Week, Luke Protti, with us here on the Bobcast. And Luke, last year as a first year, you were unrecruited, you enrolled at Bates, and you walked onto the team with Coach Shake being in his first season. How'd that process work?
I decided to go to Bates because of the academic opportunities, obviously, and I visited here and really liked it. And after my senior season, really wanted to keep playing soccer in college as far as I could, and was fortunately able to perform well enough in preseason to get a roster spot last year.
So when you were in high school playing soccer, you were never looking at colleges from a soccer angle necessarily, it sounds like.
Not till the fall of my senior year, I kind of had a pretty good year, and then I started after that looking to try to play in college, but before that, not at all.
How'd it go with Coach Shake, approaching him saying, I want to play?
Yeah, so I originally was talked to the previous coach, Stu, and he said they would give me a walk opportunity, and then Coach Shake or Tyler was hired, I think, 2 weeks before the season or something. So I think I talked to him once on the phone before preseason, and it worked out though. So
Yeah, what was camp like? Because you're not guaranteed a roster spot or anything.
yeah, no, I was just put my best effort. Everyone was going as hard as they could, and just tried to play my best and run as fast as I could in the fitness tests and stuff.
Right.
So
last year you played a little bit, but not a whole lot. What was that like learning? Your first year that you've applied to this season, where you're obviously getting more minutes.
yeah, last year I just came on the team, and all my teammates were so helpful. It was a whole new level from high school, and it took a while to get adjusted. My teammates were obviously, our team is great. The seniors last year were an amazing class, and I mean everyone on the team was so helpful in bringing everyone up along. And then this entire off season with the upperclassmen, juniors were mostly abroad, but even the seniors from last year, and then the sophomores and the juniors who did stay on were just amazing, and developing everyone who is here over that off season. And we played a lot, lifted a lot, and we all improved a ton.
And then the Hamilton game, I got to ask, the second goal you scored there, it was a tough angle, and you seemed like surprised that it went in. What was that whole? Take us through that play.
Well, I mean, we had a great passing sequence and great runs to clear out space. So it was a real good team goal, and I got the ball on the wing and took my defender, and then I just it was a tight angle, so I shot it, and I guess it just went in. It went over the keeper. I just kind of tried to put as much power on it as I could, and it went in.
What's it like being at the bottom of that dog pile after goal?
It was pretty crazy. The first time got tackled by my teammates, and I was a little gasping for air for a second there, but it was obviously an incredible feeling. So I was really excited, and great win for our team. Looking forward for the rest of the year. Yeah,
because the team, you fell down 1-0, but were able to score the last 3 goals in quite a small time frame, basically.
Yeah.
Like, it was a flurry of scoring. So what was the mentality after falling behind 1-0 and it allowed you to bounce back so quickly?
Yeah, our team, we try to pride ourselves on our bounce back ability and keeping our head in the game no matter what. And so we went down 1, and it was just like a collective, let's go. We have to score. We have to score 2. We have to get back on top. And it's just take care of work kind of mentality. And I think up until that point, we had been the dominant team in the second half. When they scored, they kind of scored against the run of play. So we knew we had attacking chances. We can create chances on them, and everyone came together and played really, really well. And we ended up scoring 3.
Great. What have you been working on personally in your game to earn this more playing time, to earn these opportunities?
Yeah, just improving my touch and pretty much everything. Like I said, in the off season, we were all playing, and it was just playing as much as you can, improving the touch, quickness, strength, and pretty much overall just trying to get better at it.
And the thing about the off season is obviously Coach Tyler can't be around, so it's captain led, it's student led, right?
Yeah, student led, but there's a real work hard mentality and get better, because we had a disappointing end to last year, and we after not making the playoffs in the last game, and we didn't want to let that happen again. So we all worked really hard.
How much does the end of last season serve as motivational fuel?
Obviously a lot, and for all of us, just because that was we put ourselves in a good position early in the season, and then didn't kind of faded down the stretch, and ended up losing our last game to lose a place in the playoffs. So we're very motivated this year to keep. We've had a good start 2-0, and to keep it going as long as for the whole season.
So we're talking on Tuesday. Later today, you're going to be playing the first game on the refurbished Russell Street field. How excited are you for this? So
excited. We had 2 practices there. It's so much nicer than last year. The ball is nice and stays on the ground and stuff. So super excited, and can't wait to play in front of a home crowd and on our home field.
Certainly. Well, just going back to when you were in high school and looking at colleges, you mentioned Bates had great academics. You grew up in Massachusetts. Were you very familiar with Bates growing up and stuff?
Not particularly, but I was looking at colleges, and I was looking at a lot of the NESCAC schools, and honestly, it was admissions day. I visited Bates, and I loved the vibe here, I guess, and so I also knew I wanted to try to walk onto a team, so I wanted to try to go to instead of I was also looking at UVM or something and stuff like that. So but it was we're all worked out really well, and I love it here, beyond just soccer.
Sounds good. Luke Protti, thanks so much.
Thank you.
The volleyball team turned in an outstanding weekend at the Husson Invitational. Bates won all 4 matches by a score of 3-0, defeating St. Joseph's, Husson, Plattsburgh, and Curry. It's the Bobcats' first 4-0 start since 2014. Junior Ruby Lightbourn averaged 3.45 digs, 2 kills, 0.82 service aces, 0.45 assists, and 0.27 blocks per set over the course of 4 matches. And she is our female Bobcat of the week. Ruby, what a start to the year for the volleyball team. 4-0 up there at the Huston Invitational, 4 straight 3-0 wins. What was clicking so well for everybody?
I think that for the first time that I've been here at Bates, our offense has been really spread out. Usually we send a lot of balls to the outside, just like in out-of-system plays and such, but this weekend we did a really good job of making equal amount of attempts for the outside, the middle, and the right sides. So I think that it's the first time we're really spreading out our offense.
And what's your role within that offense?
I play outside hitter, so I'm usually swinging out of the left, but sometimes I'll swing off the right side of the court. And basically just trying to put any balls that Julia or Emma gives us away or make it difficult for the other team to get a good in-system set off of is the goal usually.
It seems like you do a little bit of everything, whether it be kills and digs or service aces or even some assists I saw, right?
I definitely try to be helpful anytime you touch the ball.
Yeah.
Like aces are a great way of being able to get points from the back row that usually you don't have the same access to as when you're taking big swings in the front row. So I love trying to be able to serve really difficultly so that, that's in my opinion, the easiest way to get points because it's the first contact on a ball. It's something you can always control really well. So
certainly, and you're from Los Angeles, from California. Tell us, you had some connections with Bates so through people you knew when you were looking at colleges, right?
Taylor Stafford Smith was already here, and we played for the same club, even though we went to different high schools. And Augie Silver was a senior when I was an incoming freshman, and she was went to the same high school as me. And we played beach volleyball together for a little while, so I knew her from that. And they kind of inspired me to come here, I guess.
Great, and you're a junior now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what about Bates back when you're looking at colleges? You mentioned obviously those two helping you make the choice, but what else about Bates attracted you to come here, cross country to college?
I definitely wanted a completely different setting than what I had grown up with, and then when I came and visited the campus and met some of the girls on the team, the team in general seemed to stand out from everything else. They were like the kindest, most inclusive group of individuals I'd ever met, so they made it really easy for me to decide.
And then, those 4 matches, obviously a great start to the year. What's the team's been talking about, like in terms of how to even build on the strong start and whatnot?
I think we just want to continue speeding up our offense because it's something we usually get to a little more midway through season in past years, and this year we're trying to do it right out of the gate so that things speed up a lot quicker and we're harder to block against and harder to defend against. So we're still trying to work some kinks out with like our faster offense, but I think we'll get there.
Great. And then, Melissa, when I talked to her before the season, she mentioned, offense was a key focus in practice and whatnot. And clearly so far paying off, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
We're doing things we've never done at this point in the season and running plays that are a little more challenging for us and trying to get people to swing out of different positions. And I think that's going to be really important to helping us win this year.
What's Julia like as a setter? Because obviously you work with her a lot.
She's very energetic. She's a great setter. She really pushes everyone to do their best on the court, and has a very high volleyball IQ, I think. So she really knows where to put the ball to get blockers off their game and stuff.
And then the defense is going to be solid, right, with Gabby as a libero and others as well who do a really good job.
Yeah, Gabby and as well Meg is great in the back row, and she's like both of them get balls up that nobody would ever expect up. So I think there's a feeling of comfort when you're swinging and you know that there are people in the back row looking out for you.
What are some observations you've had about the newcomers, the first years?
I think they all add a lot to the team, personality-wise and skill-wise. They definitely push people hard in practice to try to perform better and add a lot of great spirit to the team because they click very well with us. They're all very nice and good people.
As a junior, how has college gone so far? What are you studying and whatnot?
I'm a politics major and a history minor, and basically just taking a lot of those classes, but I'm also part of SAC, and so I've been
nice.
trying to do some other activities through that.
Well, SAC being the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, right?
Yes, that's what that is. Basically, we just meet once every 2 weeks to discuss different student athletic concerns and programs that we're trying to run, like the Special Olympics things that happen at the school a lot of the times.
That's probably been a great experience to meet fellow student athletes outside of necessarily an athletic environment, I guess.
It's definitely an environment where people want to get things done and try to improve things at the school, so it's refreshing.
Great. Well, any other thoughts on the season so far? And obviously the goal this year, as Melissa said, was to do damage in that NESCAC tournament at the end of the year. Obviously, tons of matches between now and then, but so far so good, right?
Yeah, we definitely have some big challenges coming up, but I think that we can handle them, and I'm excited for them, and I know the team is too.
All right. Ruby Lightbourn, Female Bobcat of the Week. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
The golf teams impressed in their season debut at the Bowdoin Invitational over the weekend. The women placed second out of 4 teams, and the men placed sixth out of 14 teams. Senior captain Andrew Garcia-Bou paced the men, finishing in second place out of 60 individuals. He shot a 75 on Saturday and followed that up with a 77 on Sunday. Meanwhile, first-year Chloe Baylor led the way for the women, taking fourth place out of 20 individuals, firing an 86 on Saturday and an 88 on Sunday. Baylor and Garcia-Bou joined the Bobcast this week to look back on the first tournament of the fall. Chloe, let's start with you. Your first collegiate golf tournament. What were going through your mind that first day stepping up to the tee?
Definitely some nerves. I've never played golf here, and so going up, I was just like, all right, let's just go in with good expectations and have some fun, get the lay of the land, and overall I was very happy with how it went. So.
And Andrew, the opposite for you. You've played that course many, many times, and it seems like second place finish, you were really comfortable out there.
Yeah, I would say I was probably my most comfortable. I've played it for 3 seasons now. This is the 4th or maybe even 5th time that I've played the course. And then in addition to knowing the course, I was able to really hone in on my mental game and stay calm and play shots where I knew they needed to be.
Excellent. Chloe, you're from Lincoln, Nebraska. Tell us how you decided to come out to Maine for college to Bates.
So 2 years ago, I came out with my family, and right away, I just knew I wanted to come to Bates. It was a place that had a great community. I loved the people, the professors. I met with Coach Upham, who was originally taking over for the golf program to help with that, and he was great, and I just liked the vibe. And so I then took a year abroad, and after that, I came here, and I've been loving it.
So the gap year you took, tell us about that, and did you get much golfing in?
Yes, so I spent the year in France, and I was at a golf and tennis academy there where I played golf pretty much 7 days a week. It was really fun and intensive, and I'm definitely taking those skills that I learned there and applying them here.
So you touched on Coach Upham, obviously was managing the program. Now you have Henry Fall as a new coach. Andrew, tell us about what your impressions of Coach Fall are so far.
He's been a really great team leader so far. He's kind of guided us through different mental strategies and just been a great support system on the course. He's been wonderful in every way possible, and he's bringing the program to great heights, both just as sportsmanship, thanking the different pros at the course, and then also being there with us in addition to John joining, helping out here and there and where we really see fit.
And Henry obviously had very recent success collegiately at Elms, which probably helps, right?
Yeah, him being a young coach, it's a lot easier to connect with him. He knows the stakes very well. He knows what it's like to be out on the course, and if you're struggling, he knows what it's like to struggle, and he knows what it's like to be on a hot streak and how to keep that up and not let the nerves get to you.
Well, Andrew, you finished second. Chloe, individually, you finished fourth, but you were saying that, off air, that you were disappointed with that, so you think there's room for improvement.
Definitely. I definitely think with Coach Fall, we will be able to thrive more as a team. And I was saying earlier that we have so much more room for improvement, and that I definitely think we could be the best in Maine.
So as one of the senior captains this year, what's that experience like for you? Being you were a captain last year, I believe, as well, but now being a senior, welcoming a whole new first-year class in also.
It's exciting. We have a lot of good talent that's joined the team, both on the men's and women's side, and it's great to see the potential that the program is growing. I know it was a little bit of a rocky start when I joined and where the program stood, but now it's miles ahead of where it was, and it feels like it's in an incredible place.
And then Chloe, Bates Invitational this weekend at Martindale. How much have you played Martindale so far?
I've only played it twice, the front and the back 9, but this week definitely going to be playing a few more rounds of 18 before I do that. So,
what's your initial impressions of the course?
It's pretty difficult, I would say. It's really hilly and it's really tight, so you have to be really precise with your your tee shots, and when you're green in regulations, you want to play below the hole definitely. So it's a lot of more mental strategy than I think than just like power and how far you can hit it. So
Andrew, what's your advice to people who have never played Martindale before?
Chloe said it perfectly.
Yeah.
It's you have to put your shots where you know they need to be. There's a lot of turns and spots that aren't so great and might block you out from certain shots. So being able to place the ball where you want it or a general area of where you want it really helps.
Chloe, any other thoughts about your first tournament as a collegiate golfer and what you're most looking forward to the rest of this season?
I'm really looking forward to kind of excelling as a team and just going from being kind of a no-name program to like really showing the NESCAC who we are, and I think that we can definitely make a statement this year. So
that's got to be a great thing for you to hear from first years, right?
It's an incredible thing to hear from a first year. I know we've been trying to do that with the program for the past few years, and I think this year is really the time we're going to make that impact.
Sounds good. Andrew Garcia-Bou, Chloe Baylor, thanks so much.
Thank you.
The Bates football season kicks off Saturday at 1 p.m. when the Bobcats visit Amherst. You will find our full season preview Wednesday at GoBatesBobcats.com. But for now, here's an excerpt from our in-depth interview with head coach Malik Hall. Coach Hall breaks down the defense heading into Saturday's opener. 3-4 scheme. Mm-hmm. You're looking at the defensive line, Razor Ramon, as you call him, big number 99 there at the nose guard. And then you have two young kids, Tim Simplicio, and then Nolan Potter, a local guy from Wells High School here in Maine. Tell us about this defensive front.
A year ago, when you lose a captain, an all-conference player, Harrington, you can never replace a kid like him. He played, we never came off the field.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a kid who was playing 90 plays a game, going full tilt, coming up with big play after big play, and then Walter Washington, all of them. Goose, we lost a senior loaded defensive line.
Yeah.
That's the bad news. The good news is we have some fresh blood who is hungry. Young Bobcats such as Tim and Potter, who were at different positions a year ago.
Right.
Man, what does it say about kids who are willing to sacrifice a position that they're familiar with to play a position of need? So I'm excited for those two guys. Ramon, who had his first start a year ago, is emerging into a major component to the defense, vocally, leadership-wise, and production. Jack Ryan is going to be a huge part of it. Another first year who's got to come into his own. We even moved Mr. Stevens. We put the Mr. on Stevens, Eric Stevens, because talk about a kid who's all about business. Showed up in the Amherst game and had a big third down catch in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Now he's playing defensive line.
Yeah.
So I major kudos to that group for sacrifice. We talk about ambition being sometimes a trap because ambition is about you, and selfless ambition is about sacrifice. And no more important than our entire defense, really, learning how to have selfless ambition and making some sacrifice for the greater good of the B. So no more group did that more than the D-line this year.
Must make you proud as a guy who played some defense.
And it's funny because that's less about who they're going to be as players and more about who they are as people. Mm-hmm. And that goes back to why we coach the person, not the product, because they made people decisions, not a production decision. Because if it was about production, it was about ambition. And if it was about ambition, it quickly becomes selfishly driven. And what a group to kind of throw their ambition aside for selflessness and for sacrifice of the B. So our hope that group plays off the wall because of that, because it will double down for our entire team. Like, this is not a D-line group by trade. this is a D-line group I need. And that D-line group I need is playing on fire. So be what we need and play on fire.
Yeah. So the linebackers, Mike Bowman, who had a big impact last year, got a lot of playing time. He's a sophomore now. Peter Daly's a senior. Spencer Adams, another sophomore. Then Liam Green, a junior. So some guys who definitely had playing time last year, although some new names as well, it looks like on there.
Yeah, I think Spencer Adams is another first-year guy last year who you saw some skill in him and some talent. But again, trying to come about this in a way where it's you want him to be active on the field right now. I think that's just us wishing upon what we see his ability to be. This year, talk about adding a birthday to him. He came back in great shape, came back with a better understanding on our defense. All around, just came back ready to go. You know, Pete Daly, who's a senior. Again, another guy who's coming back to kind of rectify some things of his past. Being here for 4.5 years, like all you want to do is get it right. You know, adding the linebacker, another guy, Zach Doyon, who was a tailback a year ago. Man, again, gave ambition for the B. He gave his ambition away for the B. He's playing middle linebacker this year. And he made some plays last year in a matter of switching because we got banged up with injuries. Owning it this year, studying it this year. I think he'll be a major addition, but I think we'll get some impact out of him as well. And then when you add into some first years like Carmichael and Hooks, I think our linebacker and middle linebacker position will be by committee. But I think there's some talented guys. Our outside linebackers, Magic Mike Bowman, you know, he got the nickname Magic Mike because we couldn't get him off the field last year as a first year. And we didn't have anyone to get him off the field for because we didn't have any numbers. And the stuff that he would do on game day, to be undersized, to be underdeveloped, and to never play college football, he played all 9 games as a first year. That was magical.
Yeah.
And the guys named him that because it was like, bro, like, I don't even know how you doing it. 'Cause in my mind, your mistakes, you come up smelling like roses. And that's what made him magical because, you know, mistakes can hurt your confidence. But a mistake for him, it was coming up as a tackle so we can clean the mistake up.
Yeah.
And his confidence not take a hit because of it. Liam Green, who played last year but just had that injury bug. You know, Sue Campbell, again, you know, he had a huge year last year. So to have him come back, you know, bigger, stronger, faster, playing all 9 games again last year or 8, that experience should show itself this year. I'm excited for that group, though our depth isn't great. You know, we added some first years. I think that'll be pretty exciting to see if we can get them on the field like Hunter Landry.
Sure.
We also added a baseball guy, Rob Matson.
Okay.
Who's dynamic and a pretty strong kid. Another baseball guy that we added to the defensive line is Matt Conley. So we're really trying to build our team with depth right now.
Yeah.
But the challenge is going to be, can we keep these guys healthy long enough?
Right.
I think they are talented enough. I think they got enough game action for the experience of what we're going into front to back. The D-line has played, the linebackers have played, the secondaries have played. A year ago, none of those guys have played against Amherst.
Right.
And yet we were in that game in the fourth quarter, 7-13. And so that should pay some dividends Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Well, you touched on adding some baseball guys. Your captain, John Lindgren, plays baseball at Bates as well. And he, of course, was second team All-NESCAC last year in football, now a senior at safety. Anchoring that secondary that includes Connor Hunt, Owen Straley, who's had a big camp of sophomore, and then Devin Clyburn, who's made a big plays and has some good size out there, doesn't he?
Yeah, our secondary is probably the most experienced group coming back. Last year we had a bunch of seniors in the secondary, but they got banged up.
Right.
So you figure, Joe Frake, who was a captain and a starter, didn't play until week 6. And so, Hunt, for example, Hunt plays the Amherst game, ends up having 9 tackles, breaks his foot.
Right.
And then Hamilton, he comes in for him, and then he has 7 tackles. And then as we go into Tufts or Trinity, we find out about Anthony Costa,
Right.
who has a pick 6 against Trinity, has another pick against Tufts, and in fact almost led the conference in interceptions. So you figure as first years, none of those guys played prior to, or sophomores, they didn't play. That was their first year playing. They're coming back.
Yeah.
So you figure if nothing else, those guys know what to expect in the game. They know what hurt us a year ago. And you got Johnny, who's like a bullet on the football field.
Yeah.
And so he see ball, get ball. And with him, he can provide a spark of energy in the secondary because he'll make a dynamic play or a dynamic hit. And that rallies those guys in my mind.
The cross-country teams were victorious in their annual wave races with Colby Saturday at Pineland Farms. Individually, sophomore Bart Rust won the first-year sophomore race on the men's side, and senior captain Olivia LaMarche won the sophomore-senior race on the women's side. Both teams race at Pineland Farms again this weekend at the Bates Invitational, racing against Connecticut College, Middlebury, Tufts, and in the case of the men, Southern Maine. And next time on the Bates Bobcast, we'll recap another big week of Bates athletics, including home openers from soccer and field hockey. Plus, the volleyball team looks to remain undefeated, and football looks to up in Amherst on the road. All that and more next time on the Bates Bobcast.